Hi everyone. The two-step process to achieve your dream GMAT score is that of structured preparation followed by mixed problem solving. Welcome to another video where we will be focusing on mixed problem solving. In fact, that's what we've been doing in this series. Now, the questions that you will find in this series are similar to the questions that you will find in the GMAT official advanced questions book. Let's get started. In this video, we will be solving 3 questions which are of the same type so that you get good practice, and if you get a similar question in the GMAT, you will be able to solve it quickly with good accuracy. And towards the end of the video, we will analyze the 3 questions to see what type of patterns are there in the questions and is there anything that we can learn from it. Is there some wisdom that we can build into our arsenal to solve questions efficiently? So this is how this video is going to be structured. Do remember to subscribe to this channel, and if you like this video and would like to have more such content, please do like it and let me know in the comments what you think about it. So let's dive right in. So the first question is on your screen now. Now give it a try and then we'll solve it together. Alright, we are back. I hope you have given it a try. Now let's solve this question together. Now over here it's mentioned if A divided by B is equal to 3, then the value of which of the following can be determined. And you're given 3 statements and the options are talking about which of the statements can be solved. Alright, now let's take a look at the first statement. It's given that A divided by B is equal to 3. Now if A by B is equal to 3, you can rewrite this as A is equal to 3B. Alright, now let's take a look at the statements. So statement 1 says 3B by A. Now, if you know A by B, then definitely you can find B by A, right? This is just the inverse. And you can definitely solve this, right? So it's a yes. Remember, you don't need to solve it. The question does not ask you to find the value of 3B by A. It's just asking you which of the following can be determined. So you can save some time if you don't go ahead and calculate it. Now, in this case, I know it's very simple. Like B by A is 1 by 3 and 3 into 1 by 3 is 1. So you can do it in your mind itself. But if there are some more complicated expressions, if you can save a few seconds by avoiding the calculation, that would be useful. So again, you need to be careful that you're not missing something when you do that. But remember, over here, you just need to arrive at a yes or no. So over here, we have seen that yes, statement 1 can be determined. Now, let's also take a look at the options. Is there anything that can be eliminated? So you can eliminate option B and D, right? Because over here it says 2 only. But we know that it's definitely not 2 only, right? Because 1 also can be determined because we got a yes over here. So this is wrong. And 2 and 3 only. So you have the word only over here. So 1 also can be determined. So definitely this over here is wrong as well. So let's proceed. Let's take a look at option statement 2. So statement 2 over here says that A plus B divided by B. That's what we have to evaluate whether we can determine it or not. Now, when you have this expression over here, you can think of it in 2 ways. This over here is the same as A by B plus 1, right? Because if you divide this, right, this becomes A by B plus B by B. You can do that, right? Because you are just splitting the terms in the numerator but keeping the denominator the same. And A by B is kept as it is and B by B is equal to 1. So A by B plus 1, this can be determined, right? Because we know what is A by B and you just have to add 1 to it. So again, remember, we don't need to calculate it. We just need to get a yes or a no. So this is a definite yes because A by B is something that we know and you add 1 to it. Now, another way of thinking about this is instead of A over here, you can replace it with 3B because A is equal to 3B, right? So this expression over here becomes 3B plus B by B. And again, you can see that this is a definite yes, right? Again, you don't need to calculate it. Why is it a yes? Because you have a B in the denominator and every term in the numerator has a B. So you can just cancel this, right? So this becomes 4 by B and the B in the numerator and the denominator cancels out. So you can solve it. Again, you don't need to find the value. You can, if you want, solve it. So yes, for statement 2 also we have a yes. Now, is there anything that we can eliminate in the answer options? You can see that 1 only is definitely wrong, right? So that also goes away. And why am I doing this over here with the answer options? Because you will see that in some questions, the answer options may be formed in a way that you don't even need to look at all the statements. So we'll see that in a future question. So over here, we were able to eliminate only option A and we are still left with 2 more options. So we have to take a look at statement 3 as well. So statement 3 says A minus B by A plus B. Now over here, we again know A is equal to 3B. So let's substitute 3B instead of A in these two places. So this becomes 3B minus B by 3B plus B. And again, we have a definite yes, right? Because you have 3 in the B in every term in the numerator as well as in the denominator. So it'll eventually cancel out and you will get some value, right? So this over here becomes 2B, and in the denominator you have 4B. And these B's will eventually cancel out and you will get a value. So again, you don't need to find this value. You just need to know that it's a definite yes. All right. So 3 also is a yes. So the correct answer to this question is option E, that is 1, 2 and 3. All right. Take a moment and just think about what we did over here. So you can see that we can approach these type of questions in two ways. One is like you can try to write A is equal to 3B. That's what we did over here. And then we saw in different statements how we use that and to see whether we can simplify it or not. And again, there is this option also. You can think of it as A by B plus 1. And again, this was something that we could evaluate. All right. Now that we are familiar with this, let's go ahead and solve two more questions. It will be very useful if you go ahead and solve right away these two more questions, so that you solidify whatever you learn over here. And if you get a similar question on the GMAT, you will be able to solve it quickly and accurately. And again, remember, do keep taking out some time in the midst of your busy schedule every day to solve some random questions. This will help you improve your accuracy and speed. All right, so let's go to question number 2. So you have question number 2 on the screen, and try to take a look at it, try to solve it on your own, and then let's solve it together. All right, we are back. I hope you have given it a try. Now let's solve this question together. So over here, it's given that A by B is equal to 3, and it's given that R by S is equal to 2. So we can rewrite this as A is equal to 3B and R is equal to 2S. All right. Now again, over here, we need to check which among these three statements can be determined. So that's the question. So let's take a look at statement 1. So statement 1 says 3B plus 2S divided by A plus R. Okay. So let's try to simplify this. So for this, let's write 3B instead of A and 2S instead of R over here. So this becomes 3B plus 2S in the numerator divided by A plus R becomes again 3B plus 2S, right? Because A is equal to 3B and R is equal to 2S. And over here you can see that the numerator and the denominator are one and the same. So they'll cancel out and you will get 1, right? But the important thing is, yes, you can determine the value. So for statement 1, it's a yes. Now what about the options? You can see that you can eliminate 3 options, right? Over here you have 2 only, over here you have 3 only, and over here you have 1, 2 and 3 only. So it's definitely wrong because 1 also can be found, right? So we were able to eliminate B, C and E, and we are just left with 2 more options, that is option A and option D. All right. Now again, over here, there is something interesting that you can note. We were able to eliminate these 3 options, and you can see that in the remaining options, that is in option A and D, you don't have statement 3, right? You don't have statement 3. So you don't even need to check whether statement 3 is true or not, right? Whether it can be determined or not, it will definitely be a no from the options, right? So over here, you just need to check 1 and 2. But again, you need to ensure that when you do this in the exam, you're doing it accurately. And that comes with practice and frequent and sufficient practice. All right. Now let's take a look at statement 2. So statement 2 says A minus B by R plus S. Now instead of A, let me write 3B, and instead of R, let me write 2S. Okay. So A minus B becomes 3B minus B, and R plus S becomes 2S plus S. Now you can see that over here in the numerator, I have B, which is a variable, and in the denominator, I have S. And in this information given in the question stem, I don't know the relationship between B and S, right? That's not given in the question. So I only know that A is equal to 3B and R is equal to 2S, but I don't know the relationship between B and S. So I cannot simplify further from here. So we are getting a no over here. So statement 2 cannot be determined. So we are able to eliminate option D as well. And the correct answer is option A, that is 1 only. Okay, so the interesting thing is over here, you had not, there was no need to even check statement 3. Now just for our learning purpose, let's take a look at statement 3. So it is BS divided by 3A minus 2R. So instead of A, let me write 3B, and instead of R, let me write 2S. So this simplifies to BS divided by 3 into 3B minus 2 into 2S. Now, over here, you can see that I cannot simplify this further, right? This becomes BS in the numerator, and in the denominator, I have 9B minus 4S. And as we've discussed, I don't know the relationship between B and S. So I cannot simplify this further, and therefore for statement 3, it's a no. And the correct answer to this question is statement 1 only, or option A. Now pause a minute and just take a look and try to solidify what you learned over here. So we tried to write A equal to 3B over here from the information given in the question, and we wrote R is equal to 2S, and we tried to implement this in the statements and see which of them can be determined or not, and we just needed to get a yes or a no. And we also worked with the options, so that over here we saw that there was no need to even check statement 3. Alright, now you have done 2 questions and your learning is quite strong. In questions like these, you will be able to apply it, you will be able to do it quickly and accurately. But to solidify your learning, to ensure that you're very thorough with these type of things, let's do one more question. So you have question number 3 on your screen. Try to do it on your own, and then let's take a look at it together. Alright, we are back. I hope you have given it a try. Now let's take a look at it together. So over here it's given that m by n is equal to 7 and p by q is equal to 3, and the question says then the value of which of the following can be determined, and you have 3 statements and you need to check them. Now m by n is equal to 7, so m is equal to 7n. Similarly, p by q is equal to 3, so p is equal to 3q. Alright, now let's take a look at statement 1. It's given that 7n square minus 3q square divided by m into p. So instead of m, let me write 7n, and instead of p, let me write 3q. So statement 1 becomes 7n square minus 3q square divided by 7n into 3q. Now over here, there is no way to simplify this further, right? I don't know the relationship between n and q because it's not given in the question. So I'm not able to simplify this further, and I'm getting a no over here. And if I eliminate statement 1, option A is out and option D as well is out, because over here it says 1 only, and we know that 1 cannot be determined. And similarly, 1 and 2 is also wrong because 1 cannot be determined. Alright, now again, notice over here you have n square and q square. In the denominator you have n into q. There is no way to simplify this, right? Now some interesting things that you should know is that n square minus q square is equal to n minus q into n plus q. Again, in this question it's not needed, but it may be useful. Like let's say this, the numerator was still this, and then you had 7n minus 3q and 7n plus 3q in the denominator. In that case, this would have been solvable. So I'm just mentioning this as a quick side note. So this is something that you should know, and you would have known it in your structured preparation, where you have seen that a square minus b square is equal to a minus b into a plus b. Alright, and you will see that there is no way to simplify this in a way that something in the numerator and denominator cancel out and you are left with some integer or decimal value. So that is not happening over here. So we are not able to solve further, and we are getting a no over here. Now let's take a look at statement 2. It says mp plus nq divided by 7n into 3q. So instead of m, let me write 7n, and over here instead of p, let me write 3q. So this becomes 7n into 3q plus nq divided by 7n into 3q. Now over here you can see that in this term over here I have n into q, in this term I have n into q, and in this term I have n into q. So these cancel out, right? So in the numerator you have nq, in the denominator you have nq, and you can cancel it. So this becomes nq into 8, right, into 22. So this is 21 and this is 1, so this is 22. So the numerator becomes 22 nq and the denominator is 21 nq, right? And these nq, these cancel out and you will be left with some value. Again, remember, the important thing is you don't need to calculate this. If you are quickly able to determine whether you can determine this expression or not, that's sufficient. So over here we are getting a yes. Now that means I can cancel option C because this says 3 only, but 2 also can be determined. So this is also out, and we are still left with 2 options. Therefore we have to check statement 3 as well. So statement 3 says m minus n into p plus q divided by m into p minus q. So let's simplify this as much as we can. So instead of m, we write 7n, and instead of p, we write 3q. Okay, so this becomes 7n minus n into 3q plus q divided by m is again 7n, and p minus q becomes 3q minus q. Alright, now try to see whether you can determine this or not. Again, remember, you don't need to calculate it, but can you do it? That's the only question, right? So over here, you will have something into n, right? And over here, you'll have something into q. So in the numerator, you will have n into q into some number, right? And in the denominator over here, you have n, and over here, you'll have something into q, right? And the numerator and the denominator has n into q. So those will cancel out. And finally, you will be able to determine what this is, right? So you will be able to determine it. So you have a yes for 3 as well. Therefore, the correct answer to this question is answer option E. Alright, remember, you just need to get a yes or a no. You can save a few seconds by not going ahead and calculating it fully. But you should have sufficient practice so that you don't make silly mistakes while you do this. Alright, so we have solved these 3 questions. Now let's take a few seconds to quickly analyze the pattern over here. The pattern over here is that you're given a ratio, let's say x by y is equal to 3. And using this, you should be able to write x is equal to 3. And then instead of x, you should be able to substitute 3y in some equations and see whether it simplifies to some integer or something without variables, so that you can determine it, right? So that's the question over here. Now, remember, we have seen that you can save some time by avoiding the calculation. You just need to see whether you're getting a yes or a no, whether you can determine it or not. For example, if it's x minus y by y, this becomes 3y. When you substitute 3y instead of x, this becomes 3y minus y by y. And this is a yes over here. You don't need to know that this simplifies to 2y by y, which is equal to 2. So that calculation can be avoided and it'll help you save a few seconds. But remember, you should have sufficient practice to do this so that you don't make any careless mistakes. Now, a few more interesting points to note over here. If there was a ratio like x plus a divided by 2 into x plus a, remember over here you're getting a yes, because even though you have some variables, they cancel out. So take a note of that. It may be that in the expression that you are evaluating, the numerator and denominator may cancel out and you may be left with just numbers. All right. So in this case, you're getting a yes. So be cognizant of these type of questions as well. All right. And one more interesting thing. Let's say you have something like x minus 2y divided by a, and this is what you need to evaluate. And let's say it's given in the question that x is equal to 2y. In this case, even though you don't know what is a, and let's say in the question it's just mentioned that a is a non-zero value. So even though you don't know the value of a, still it would be a yes, because when you substitute this, right, this becomes 2y minus y by a, which is 0 by a, and a is a non-zero value. So 0 by a non-zero value will be equal to 0. So over here also you would be getting a yes. So this is also something that can happen in questions. Alright, so keep practicing questions so that you will be able to accurately solve questions in a very quick manner on the exam day. All the best in your preparation. Do remember to subscribe to this channel so that you get notified, and hit the bell icon also so that you get notified whenever we release questions. So this will help you take out pockets of time in your busy schedule so that you keep practicing questions in a mixed manner. So that will help you improve your accuracy and speed. Also, do like this video, share it with your friends, and let me know in the comments what you think about it. All the best.